We have to understand that the Electoral College fundamentally is about federalism, which means it's about the basics of our constitutional system, because the Constitution creates a federal union. Federalism fundamentally means that states which have their own sovereignty as states agree to act for common purposes in creating an overarching umbrella federal government that will help them do as a collective what is difficult or impossible for them to do as individuals. For instance, states are perfectly competent to design their own educational systems, build their bridges, and designate their state capitals. They are much, much less competent to conduct foreign policy, create armies, and build navies. Far better for a federal government to be responsible for. That is exactly the balance that the federal Constitution creates.
State governments are independent sovereigns. The federal government cannot tell them what to do, and that's an important way of keeping a check on the power of the federal, or in this case, central government. The federal system we have, I think, works exactly the way the framers designed it and envisioned it to. It's often been said that the states are the laboratories of democracy, and that is very much the case.
In Wyoming in 1892, they let women vote long before anybody else wanted women to vote. Other states soon followed, and this has happened in other ways as well, whether it's abolishing slavery or enacting certain civil rights measures. And if the federal government were left to be in charge, we would basically be waiting for 50 sets of representatives and senators to all simultaneously come to the same revolutionary way of thinking and to enact some of these measures. Whereas when you can rely on a smaller subset, one state or one region or a group of states to have these new ideas, it's easier to get the ball rolling.
Our states pre-exist the Constitution. They were colonies, and then they were sovereign states, and they remain sovereign states. And the Electoral College is what pulls them together in order to elect a chief executive that is over all of them, protecting and making sure that the smaller members of the Federation, of the Federal Union, are not simply overwhelmed and ignored by the popular vote nationwide.
It's that federalism which the Electoral College is the premier example of in our constitutional system. If we begin to tamper with the Electoral College, what we're really starting to do is to dismantle the federal system. And when that happens, then we're kissing goodbye to all the possibilities that federalism has represented.